Okay, what if I told you that right now, literally as we speak, millions of Americans are actively packing up and walking away from some of the biggest, most iconic cities in the country? I mean, places like New York, LA, and Chicago, they've always been seen as these ultimate dream-making machines, right? But recently, something really surprising is happening. More and more people are just leaving that whole bustling city life behind and moving somewhere completely different.
So what's actually going on here? Why are so many Americans making this massive, life-changing decision to uproot their lives? Well, to figure it out, we need to look at how our whole definition of a good life is undergoing a pretty massive transformation.
For decades, the old dream basically meant that the big city was the absolute center of opportunity. If you wanted the great job, the crazy nightlife, or the top-tier schools, the city was literally the only place to be. And people were totally willing to deal with the harsh urban reality. The insanely expensive rent, the crowded streets, the mind-numbing commutes, because the benefits just seemed to outweigh the costs. But lately, that equation has fundamentally changed.
And that changing equation really brings us to one incredibly powerful question. Right now, so many Americans are sitting in their tiny, overpriced apartments, looking at their monthly budgets and asking, wait, why am I paying so much to live here? It's a total light bulb moment. Those heavy daily tolls that we all used to just accept as the price of doing business in a big city, they're not just being accepted at face value anymore. And the answers people are finding are leading them somewhere else entirely.
Which brings us to reason number one, the price of the city. The absolute biggest, most immediate driver of this whole exodus is skyrocketing housing prices. And we aren't just talking about your landlord bumping up the rent a few bucks. We're talking about handing over half your paycheck for an apartment the size of a walk-in closet. It's basically pushed prices to a financial breaking point that completely changes how a family can even plan for their future. The financial reality is just brutal. In some major urban centers right now, renting a super basic, tiny apartment actually costs more every single month than paying a mortgage on a spacious house in a smaller town. For a lot of families, the math just doesn't make sense anymore. I mean, why throw away rent money when you could be building equity somewhere else?
All right, reason number two, the remote work shift.
You see, before recently, workers were essentially chained to their physical offices. You had to stay close to where the companies were, which meant paying a premium to live or near those expensive cities. But the rise of remote work has completely torn up that rulebook. Now, millions of people just need a decent Wi-Fi connection to get their jobs done. They've been completely untethered.
Think about it. In the past, your career growth was tied directly to those expensive office locations. You absolutely had to be there. But today, remote work lets people keep their established careers and their salaries while massively upgrading their quality of life. They get to drastically lower their living expenses and get so much more physical space. It's basically a massive win-win.
And that ties perfectly into reason number three, changing our lifestyles.
Over the last few years, a lot of us had some time to reflect, and people kind of realized they crave completely different things now. We're talking larger homes, quieter neighborhoods, shorter commutes, and just, actually being able to go outside and see nature. Instead of spending hours gridlocked in traffic or squished onto a crowded train, people realized they could trade all that stress for more time with their friends and family. The desire for a balanced, peaceful life just really started to outshine the whole hustle and bustle of the city.
And hey, human behavior is super social, right? Once a few folks started making the move and bragging about their awesome new setups, others immediately followed. It creates this kind of sequential migration chain. First, friends tell friends. Then families start encouraging their relatives to move out where it's cheaper. And suddenly, boom, smaller cities and suburban communities are absolutely exploding. They become these vibrant, highly attractive alternatives to the old big city grind. It's literally a ripple effect of individual choices reshaping the entire map.
Finally, reason number four, the new American dream.
Now let's take a step back and be completely objective here. Big cities are not disappearing, and they certainly aren't dying. Places like New York and LA are always going to offer unmatched opportunities, deep cultural richness, incredible diversity, and endless entertainment. For a lot of people and industries, the big city is exactly where they need to be, and those urban centers will absolutely keep thriving in their own ways.
But it really comes down to this. It's no longer just about living in the biggest city possible. For decades, the default measure of success was making it to the biggest metropolis you could find. But today, success is defined so much more personally. It's really about finding the absolute best personal balance between your work, your money, and your day-to-day happiness.
Ultimately, we're not just looking at a massive change in zip codes here. Americans aren't abandoning cities forever. They're simply rethinking what they actually want out of life. It's a major shift in priorities, not just locations. People are reshaping where they live, work, and build their futures based on a totally new set of values, looking way beyond that traditional urban dream.
So, what do you guys think? Are we witnessing the permanent end of the traditional city dream, or is this just its next evolution? Would you rather live in a big city with endless opportunities and that buzzing energy, or in a smaller town with way more space and lower costs? Let me know your preference down in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this explainer, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you never miss our next deep dive. See you next time.